We want to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Also want to give double honors unto the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutations to the elect of YAHAWAH, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today, as well as you Akim out there enduring this truth across the four corners of the earth, teaching and prophesying through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai in truth and sincerity, and the men and women that follow, and those who might look like the other nations but are of the nation of Israel and their father's side by blood. And get into a quick lesson. This article was sent 2 days ago. Yep, 2 days ago, January 2nd. And as you see in the title, it says, "Is the world going sober?" All right. As a matter of fact, let's get you on it. Get the etymology on sober. It says $830 million wiped off liquor stocks as Jim Beam halts output. You know, so we're going to get a little bit into the article. I started reading it, the first couple paragraphs, and I told the brothers we'll just kind of go off of the spirit. But starting out, it says, here is some sobering news. One of America's most storied whiskey makers is going silent, at least for a year. Jim Beam, the 230-year-old Kentucky bourbon icon, will halt production at its main Claremont distillery for all of 2026, marking the first pause in modern history at the flagship site. The move sends shockwaves through Kentucky's $9 billion bourbon economy and signals deeper cracks spreading through the global alcohol industry. The stoppage occurs at the same time as nearly $830 billion has been erased from the market value of the world's leading beer, wine, and spirit companies over 4 years, according to a Bloomberg index. The downturn is fueled by a potent mix of trade tensions, oversupplying. See, that's that mass production. It's just like y'all can't. Nobody's really buying it like that. Cause the brother been heavy on that for the past few months. And that's what this society does, is they just mass produce things because they're used to people going all out of their way to make sure they get it. You know, they'll spend their last on some alcohol, right? It says shifting consumer habits, which that goes into, as we was talking about, money. You ain't really got the money to just consume how you once did. You got a lot of people on the web talking about, I just had to get rid of my car insurance so I can pay my rent. I just had to not pay this so I can put food in my kids' mouths. Da, 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 da. So a lot of people are starting to feel the squeeze. Oh, that's a good precept. I think it's Luke either 14 and 21 or 21 and 14 about the perplexity. So what it is and it says, and mounting health concerns, because we all know the foods that we eat, even if it comes to wine or liquors that you sipping on or whatever, vegetables that you even cook, it's not the same quality that it once was. All right, so the longer, that's why the scriptures say that the days gotta be shortened, or no flesh will be saved, because the longer we stay here, the more artificial things become. The more artificial things become, the more artificial our mindsets is, and the more it's not natural for our bodies, and our bodies will break down faster and faster and faster, man. Try to tell one of the younger brothers, you 21 going on 28. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. I'm pushing 30. But, come, one second. But that's within this society. That's how it is. I tell elderly people all the time, I be telling them about my back and this and that. Now they looking at my age and like, well, you shouldn't have that. So I'm justified in saying you shouldn't have those problems. But with the ideology in this place and the lack of nutrients and minerals, far as the BS food that we eat versus the food that was once eaten, it breaks our bodies down faster, man. Okay? Go ahead and get your precept.
This is Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 30. It says, even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall.
God. You keep going.
God. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run.
You gotta speak up to it a little bit too.
They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
Yeah, because you'll have it to where this is now this really is going into, like I said, those that wait upon the Lord, shall mount up with wings and run and not faint. Is going into the Lord is going to put a spirit on people who are going to be doing some extraordinary things, spiritual power as we talk about. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that first part, as he's saying, you have young men who get faint. You'll have and it all really comes down to that taking care of yourself, not moving around as much. Uh, Especially these young kids, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them just really they cool with eating Burger King and Wingstop and McDonald's and Takis and chocolate chip cookies all day. They not really looking to get into vegetables and juices and intermittent fasting. They're not really caring about their health. All right. So, and you think about it, when all hell break loose, I mean, shit, it's really gonna be it's gonna be lopsided. It's gonna literally come down to survival of the fittest, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like an elder brother said a while. He said this years ago. He said, I ain't trying to be out there in Jacob's trouble and a two third get the best of me because I ain't got no cardio. You know what I'm saying? So all of that is important. Taking care of our bodies is important. You can probably tell I'm under the weather right now. You know, uh, but like I said, it's a downturn, which I want to what it say because of trade tensions. You had I'm gonna say Esau, but Trump. You know, what DJT. You had him uh, doing all of his tariffs, man. You know what I'm saying? So certain vodkas wasn't coming over here, certain Italian wines and all of he putting tariffs on all of these different countries, and they like, all right, well all right, cool, then we'll just deal somewhere else. So then overplaying, shifting consumer habits and mounting health concerns. So you got to tie all of that into the mindset of the people. And like I said, this is a span over the last 4 years. Well, which puts you at about 2021. Well, we all know 2020 was a eye opener, a game changer, and it was a reality check on a bunch of people, to where a lot of people still haven't bounced back mentally from that. There's people that's still walking around with that juice in their body. You never know if they gonna spontaneous combust or not. You never know. But you got the preset.
It's First Timothy chapter 4 verse 8, which says, "For bodily exercise profited little, but
Yeah.
godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is, and of that which is to come."
Yeah. Well, like you said, going back to the bodily exercise profited little, but as we always say, it does profit. So going on your walks, that's why you be seeing apostles walking and making smoothie videos, and they got me on using ghee and beef tallow a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I might not be going as hard as them, but that's what works for it. Like the apostle Elder Gabar was saying, that's what works for his body, as far as a carnivore diet. You know what I'm saying? So what works for mine, but it's about being mindful of what you putting in your body and how you taking care of your body. You know, you don't want to be sitting down all of the fucking time. Get your ass up and walk. Get your steps in. If you got to put a little watch on or whatever, if you got, because that watch at least track about how much you walking. Because at my job, I was doing like shit equivalent. It was over 10 miles. It was definitely over 10 miles. And that's just me guessing. But I want to say it was about 15, 17 miles I was doing a day because it's a lot of walking at my job, which is good. Now, what if I incorporate that with better eating habits, incorporate that with stretching, incorporate that with taking natural antibiotics and antibacterial foods and things, then I'll be really going, because that's what our bodies was meant to be. It was meant to function. Your body can barely function in this place, you know. But all in all, it's still that godliness too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta exercise that, because you could be the healthiest motherfucker in the world, but if you ain't got this truth, it ain't gonna make no never mind.
Yeah.
Jacob's trouble pop off and the Lord ain't cover you. I don't give a fuck if you can run 10 miles. You might only run 1 mile and get hit by a bullet. You know? What was the second part to that precept?
It said, so I can go back to it. So like it said, but for bodily exercise profited little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come.
Yeah, to help you in these times, right? How to operate, how to discern, and for the life to come. Because that's what we're preparing for. That's what we're rehearsing. We're rehearsing the righteous acts, because in the kingdom, that's what we're going to have. That's what's going to be inside us, man, because of the new covenant. I want to read this because I spoke about the tariffs. It says Jim Beam's shutdown traces back to the U.S.-Canada trade interruption in early 2025, where Canadian liquor boards abrupted stopped buying American spirits after the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on Canadian exports. The effects hit quickly. U.S. spirit exports to Canada plunged 85% in quarter two of 2025, crashing below $10 million. So that's about, you got January, February, March, April, May, June, around that time. You know, the second quarter, I believe, is the second half uh, of the first 6 months, you know. So boom, and that's around that time where you know DJ was doing all of those moves. So here it is, you got your neighboring country, you're putting a tariff on them, and that's gonna affect that. Here they is, they done produced all of this whiskey. Now, mind you, alcohol doesn't go bad, but over some time, it's like, what the hell are we gonna do with this?
Yeah.
You know? Um, so that was part, because what did it say? One of the reasons was what? It said trade tensions. You know? That was part of the reasons why you've been seeing that downturn. All right. Your brother got precept. Go ahead. I'm kind of skim through this. What you call it, a little bit more. Anybody?
Yeah. I did have something that you just mentioned. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, and verse 15, where it just says, "Righteous for righteousness is immortal." Like going into the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? That's like the brothers mentioned with the new covenant. This is how the new kingdom of YAHAWASHI, all right, which that goes back to Luke 1 and 31, which says that his kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom because it's going to be ruled the right way, right? Ain't going to be no contaminated food, contaminated air, contaminated education. Everything is going to be perfect. This is so, and because within wickedness, they say wickedness is the wages of death. Won't be no death for the Israelites in the kingdom.
Sin is the wages of death.
The water. So yeah, that was into that.
It says, are drinking habits really changing? $830 million gone and counting. The short answer, yes. In a recent Gallup poll, research shows that drinking is at a record low. Currently, only 54% of U.S. adults are drinking alcohol. That percentage is the lowest figure since the 19 motherfucking 30s. When Gallup began tracking his data, the number sat at 62% in 2023 and 58% in 2024. For the first time, over half of Americans, 53%, now consider even moderate drinking harmful for their health. The decline is most pronounced among women, down 11 points, and young adults, down to 50%, with men and older adult drinkers showing decreases too. Now you can get that precept.
This is Isaiah 24, verse 9. It says they shall not drink wine with a song.
Speak up a little bit.
They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it.
Yeah, because what it is, it's like you used to. Well, somebody get that precept about wine and music in Sirach. You know, alcohol was a shoot that livened up the party. Even the Lord turned water to wine for a marriage party. You know what I'm saying? He turned it. You know, and they like, hold up, hey, hold up. Normally, they bring out the good wine first. So when the bad wine come out, nobody know the difference. But y'all say the best for last. That's what I'm talking about. You know? So it goes to show you, like, you had those that was part of get events and holy days. Well, there's a drink offered as well. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures tell you about what it say about strong drink. Strong, is it strong drink? I know it's in Deuteronomy somewhere. But it tell you, you do your work, you get your wages, and it's okay to get it for you, go and buy you a little, to get it down, But you got that? I want that wine and
So Sirach chapter 40 and verse 20, it says, "Wine and music rejoice the heart."
Break it down.
It says, "Wine and music rejoice the heart," right? So they. When you in your drink, you might put a track on, some sweet music, some jazz or whatever it is you listen to, and you happy, you excited. It's a relief of joy. You know what I'm saying? If I'm saying it right, you're full of joy. You're married.
A release of joy.
Release of joy. Yeah, I like that better. A release of joy. So we've been there. You happy. You in your zone.
Make sure y'all speak it up too, because the mic is over here.
Because it says, so wine and music rejoice the heart, but the love of wisdom is above them both.
And what is the heart? It's the mind. You know what I'm saying? So you might be going through a little something, and you just put on a little music, sip a little something, or go to a bar, they playing music when you're there. A club, they playing music when you're there. Certain events and things, it's good. It makes you merry. Okay, that's why the scriptures tell you that that's good, but then it tell you that to do it moderately, because you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to drown in it. What was the second part though?
It says, but the love of wisdom is above them both.
Yeah. So if you can, like, wine and music is good, but and that's what people are starting to realize, that the love of wisdom is better than both. Because they're buying less. They feel like it's more harmful for them. You got people who got DUIs, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them hoes. If I'm not mistaken, my dad just told me this morning that they made they either making or made a DUI a felony now.
Oh shit!
I'm about to look it up. It says, yes, a DUI in Nebraska can be a felony. Okay, it said it can be. But he was saying all of them, even if it's your first, your second, or your third. So maybe, I don't know. I had to look more into it, But nonetheless, that's what happened. Because with DUIs, you got a lot of money you got to pay. A lot of classes you got to take. Some people do jail time. Some people do prison time. Some people that killed people, hit and runs and ran people, wrecked cars. It's all type of. So what it is people starting to realize, well, let me read books a little bit more. Let me find a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Let me find a hobby, because like I said, wisdom is better than them both. And I'm not saying they got the wisdom of the scriptures, but a lot of more people are about self-development. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's whether it's makeup, whether it's BBLs, whether it's the nails and the eyelashes, or coming down to a lot of men working out, women working out, getting on the health kick. There's a lot of content out there where people are cooking. You got people out there doing vegan content, keto content, all there's all type of people, to the point where people testing the pH in certain waters. Oh, they talking about this is a 9. They lied. This is at 6.4 or whatever. You didn't really have that growing up. Nobody cared. I didn't like, unless I was just doing what I was doing. But I didn't really hear too many people speaking about certain waters and organic foods and GMO this and that. It was the start of it. But shit, being in middle school, like, well, let's read this real quick. It says, younger consumers, especially Gen Z, are embracing non-alcoholic lifestyles or choosing cannabis or mocktails and leaning into wellness-oriented alternatives. This is in addition to the rise of GLP weight loss drugs like Ozempic, of which 1 in 8 adults are currently using, and that reduce appetite and alcohol cravings. Which I heard that Ozempic ain't even all of that. It ain't really that too good for you, but I can't speak too much on it. Uh, well, anything Esau give you ain't good for you. He give you any synthetic drug, any synthetic medication or whatever.
Especially if you have to be on it for a long time.
Yeah,
It
ain't good for you.
It'll fuck you up eventually. Nerves will be all fucked up.
My nerves all shot. It says a Bloomberg index tracking about 50 global alcohol companies now sits 46% below its 2021 peak, erasing roughly $830 million in value. European powerhouse stocks and holding companies Diageo, Pernod Richard, and Remy. Oh, see, got the Remy on there. Couture, whatever. I don't speak that shit. It says have seen their market caps plunge to decade-long lows. Chinese Beiju Giant is, you can see it. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. Quay Chow. Quay Chow. That's right. Racist as hell. Hey, this is not a hate crime.
Don't cancel us.
Quay Chow Mount Tao is down over 40% from its high, while brands from Brown Forman and Treasury Wine Estates in Australia have slumped. In China, government alcohol bans at official events have continued to choke premium spirit sales. So they got to the point where even at public events, certain events, ain't no alcohol here. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. And you get to the point where you really don't know how much that shit can have a hold on you. I didn't have my troubles with it, learn my lessons. All right. And I'm like, okay, that's why the scriptures say in moderation. All right, makes sense. But yeah, that's the end of the article. I don't know if brothers had any more precepts.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I looked at precept. I had a point, but I looked at precept.
Yeah, this is Sirach 31 and verse 27.
Speak up.
So Sirach 31 verse 27 says, wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine, for it was made to make men glad.
Yeah, it shows you how essential it is. It shows you how need. Not gonna say needful. I'm gonna say eventful, because you can have certain events where it was there. But that's the thing. It wasn't no damn liquor stores back then. You know what I'm saying? You probably had a couple people I'll use that very loosely, selling yayan or whatever, strong drink. But you ain't have a fucking liquor store on every corner in the hood. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't order liquor. You just wasn't no Uber Eats dropping off liquor. There no shipping fees and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't all of that. So if they had a problem with it back then, would it not been as accessible, let alone now? And that's what people have started to realize is just not worth it at the end of the day. Going back to what it said, mix of trade tensions, oversupply, shifting consumer habits, and mounting health concerns. People are just more focused on other things, man. And they're understanding and realizing alcohol ain't going to solve everything.
Yeah. Oh, it's like you had something, Billy?
Kind of real quick, this is Proverbs 20 and 1. It says, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging.
Yeah.
And whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise.
Yeah, and that's what it is, So for whatever reason, well, that goes into that shift in consumer habits and mounting health concerns. People just realize that it ain't for them. You know what I'm saying? So they choosing to leave it alone for the most part. You can't say that they're not leaving it alone because they're missing out on $830 million globally. You know, and that's just part of everything that's going on in the world, man. You know, you got people over in France protesting against the actions that the American military did. People in America protesting the actions that the military. People are starting to get to a point where they just want to chill. You know what I'm saying? But they can't. As long as America is the big bad wolf, man. But that's prophecy. You know, the ten horns and the nations are going to need a reason to hate your ass, and you're giving them every reason. Every reason. Before we close this out, this was dated this year, 2 days ago. Now, this one goes back to May 28th of 2021. I just want to read one paragraph in here. It says, during the pandemic, alcohol sales collapsed from US 761 billion in 2019 to US 659 billion in 2020, falling by about 13.5%. This is a decline that was 3 times bigger than the drop in overall consumer spending. Because it said, we looked it up earlier in 2017, the global alcohol industry generated over $1.5 trillion in sales in 2017, with the U.S. at 252. You know, was that billion? Yeah, 252 billion. That's 2017. So just 2 years after that, it was at 761 billion, and then a year after that, it fell down about 90 billion. Nah, that's 11. No, 110. Salakia. Yep. Roughly, it's 59 and 60. We'll just say 100. So, and 2019 is really when that CVID started. You know what I'm saying? That's really when it started hitting. I know brothers that had it before it was global, so to speak. You know, they had the same symptoms and reactions, and I just look at it like the Lord was getting them immune to it. You know what I'm saying?
October, November.
Yeah, exactly. I remember a brother being hella sick, and I'm like, yo, you make sure you take that cover home and wash it before you return it. You know?
Seriously.
But hey, that's where we're at. You know, people are realizing that escaping your problems doesn't mean that you're solving your problems. Or if you try to escape your problems, once you sober up, your problems is still there, man. You know? Did we ever get that definition of sober?
Nah, I got it right here though.
You ain't got it. You get it before me. You bring it out.
This is the etymology for the word sober, which says it's moderate in desires or actions, habitually temperate, restrained.
Yeah, habitually temperate. Meaning you're making it a habit to be temperate. You're making it a habit to control yourself. You know? Over and over. Restrained. Go ahead.
Especially abstaining from strong drink.
Uh-huh.
Also calm, quiet, not overcome by emotion. Decent, sober, not drunk, temperate, moderate, sensible.
Yeah.
The meaning, free from the influence of intoxicating liquors, not drunk at the moment. Also appropriately solemn, serious, not gay.
There you go. People are more serious. People are more solemn, so to speak, and not giddy. What the hell does giddy mean?
Like, joyous.
It says having a sensation of whirling and a tendency to fall or stagger, dizzy. You know, lightheaded, faint, weak at the knees, arms heavy, spaghetti. So hey, people are always says as plain or simple in color, and that's what it is. It's just people waking the hell up, man. Hey, a lot of people are waking up to the truth. A lot of people are acknowledging just certain things just ain't for them. You know, and a lot of people are shifting from alcohol maybe to other alternatives, like they said, as far as cannabis or non-alcoholic drinks or mocktails, where it tastes like a mocktail is basically like you're mocking a cocktail. It tastes like the liquor, but it doesn't give you the liquor effect. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this place is going down. Bing, bada, boom. Any more precepts? With that, once again, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Once again, double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings to the elect of Yasha Allah, and salutations and blessings to you, Akim, out there doing this truth across the four corners of the earth. Shalom.
Shalom.